What's up, guys? Welcome back to Inside the 20. Today we're coming at you on Saturday morning, right before college football. So we're going to mix it up a little bit today. I know we've been doing NFL predictions and college predictions. Basically, that's all we've been doing. But we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to have some discussion topics. Maybe you guys can weigh in if you want. But let's get started. So we're going to start with the NFL predictions. So we got our top 5 picks for the week. So number 1, we got the Buccaneers and the Rams. I've got the Buccaneers. Ryan's got the Rams.
Yeah.
Right. But I'll go ahead and explain why I've got the Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers have kind of got off to a rocky start against the Cowboys. They look good, but look like their egos were still a little inflated from the Super Bowl win. But overall, against the Falcons, I mean, their defense just looked unstoppable. Matt Ryan couldn't get a pass off. I mean, it's just they are unstoppable. And Stafford is still developing in this system. He's a great quarterback. He's top 10. Don't come at me. He's top 10. He's still developing this system though, and the Buccaneers defense is not doesn't give you an inch. So it's going to be tough for the Rams to win. I think it'll be close, but I say the Buccaneers win a shootout 27-24. Ryan?
All right. Well, this is kind of a biased pick. Rams beat the Bears. I just think, like you said, Matthew Stafford, he's proving me wrong so far. So I guess this will be his game to actually prove me wrong. So I'm going to have faith in him here. Kind of just say he has game. Cooper Kupp has looked insane.
Oh, yeah.
I was also wrong about that one.
Yeah.
And, I just think Cooper Kupp's going to have a day again, especially in the slot. He's going to tear up the Bucs defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that.
Really. And
I really think this game could go both ways.
Yeah.
I really think it could go either way. I could be wrong, and we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
So
we got our second game.
Mm-hmm. Seahawks and Vikings. This is going to be a good game. This is actually tough for me to find, or tough for me to determine a winner for. But I am going to go ahead and say the Vikings. The Vikings have started off 0-2. They've been a little rocky, but they're a field goal and a fumble away from being 2-0. But the Vikings are a good team. They're a playoff team, whether you like it or not. Even though they started off 0-2, I think they're going to be able to bounce back. And give the Seahawks a run for their money. The Seahawks really don't run the ball very much, and that's where the Vikings kind of struggle is in run defense. They don't really have a lot of runs, so even with Daniil Hunter back, they're kind of still struggling in run defense. It's been their problem. But they are really good at defending the pass, always have been, for the most part. I mean, Patrick Peterson did get burnt by Jamar Chase a couple of times. He's burnt toast at this point, but he's still able to keep up with most receivers in the league. So I think it'll be tough for them. Tyler Lockett may have an 80-yard touchdown or two. DK Metcalf is good. I mean, it's going to be an offensive game. It's going to be like the Cardinals and the Vikings last week, right? It's going to be an offensive game. But I think the Vikings finally get their first win. And I'm going to have a score prediction of 31-29.
I'm gonna disagree with you. Dalvin, he's injured. Still don't know if he's going to play or not. He probably will play, but I just don't think him coming off of that injury is going to do well for the Vikings, especially with,
It's fair.
KJ Osborne is their number 1 receiver right now, which, that's weird to say, even though.
Well, I think that was really just because he had the one touchdown.
Yeah, that's true, but still, you don't have, I guess, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. You could say they're off to a slow start. Not really, but I don't know. I feel like they rely on the run, and then if you can't stop the run, they'll keep running it. But then they have that passing option. But I think without Dalvin at 100%, the Seahawks should take this game by 7 points, just by a touchdown.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm
see.
also a Vikings hater. So
All right, let's go on to Browns and Bears. So Browns and Bears. It's kind of a surprise that we have it in here. Kind of not really. The only reason I have this game in here is, one, because Ryan's a Bears fan, but also because Justin Fields is getting his first NFL start. So this is actually a really big game. Whether you know it or not, this is a really big game for Justin Fields and for the trajectory of this league. We got another rookie quarterback taking the reins, at least for now. So with Andy Dalton being injured with his, I believe it's his knee. So it'll be a very interesting game, and we'll have to see how Justin Fields turns out against a good Browns team. I mean, their defense is questionable at times, but can typically get the job done. So we will definitely. This was going to be a good game. But personally, I've got the Browns by probably about 10, 14 points, a touchdown or two. But I do think Justin Fields has himself a game. I really think he proved himself and maybe even establishes himself as the permanent starter. What do you think? I know what you think, right? I know what you think. That's not the question I should ask. How do you think this game will go?
I think it can go either way if the Bears' front seven has a day. Stopping the run, especially with OBJ not at 100%, Jarvis Landry's out, and stopping the tight ends. They threw to the tight ends, I think, like 70% of their passes were to their tight ends. Mm-hmm. And they don't really have very much receiver depth, I guess you could say. So
it's there, but it's not great.
It's not, say, like...
The Steelers' receiver depth. It's not the Steelers' receiver depth. Like, let's just be real. I'm not even, like, being biased. Like, the Steelers just have a lot of receiver depth. The Browns just have two elite receivers. And then, Rashard Higgins and Donovan Peoples-Jones. They're good receivers, right? Like, but it is going to be tough for them to get the passing game going, especially without Jarvis and with OBJ coming back off his ACL tear that has had him out almost a year now. It will be tough for them to get stuff going, but yeah.
And Eddie Goldman is a game time decision for this game. He's going to be a huge gain if he ends up playing.
For the run defense, definitely.
Yeah. And then I just think if we force them to throw the ball rather than run the ball every play, then it could be a good game. Especially if OBJ is being guarded by Jalen Johnson, who is statistically one of the best corners in the league right now. I probably will. I said the Bears are going to win, just to call an upset because I'm biased, but I do think the Browns will probably end up coming away with it, whether it's close or not. But yeah,
it'll be a good game, and it'll be interesting to see how Fields does in his first start. All right, now we've got the Colts and Titans, a divisional matchup, and we're going to really see how the Colts, can withstand after their 0-2 start. Carson Wentz will most likely be playing. He practiced yesterday. Even with the 2 sprained ankles.
Yeah.
I don't really know how that happens, but it did. He's going to be playing in this game most likely. And so we're really going to see the Colts versus the Titans, the true matchup. So I've got the Titans in this game. Just because the Titans, week 1 was a struggle for them. They couldn't really figure it out. They couldn't figure it out. But last week they figured it out and they beat the Seahawks. They beat the Seahawks without playing defense. They beat the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Without playing a lick of defense. So the Titans are proving to us that you don't have to be a good defensive team to win games, right? And so I think that's why they're going to come out here and get this win against the Colts. Is because, they proved to us you don't need a defense to win games. You don't need a secondary to win games. I mean, they've got some dudes on defense who can get it done, but this defense might be statistically one of the worst in the league, and they're still going to be able to win lots of games just because Derrick Henry is just an animal. He's just a monster. He's a monster. And then you got 2 top 15 receivers, arguably a top 5 receiver, in Julio Jones, who's returning to his elite form. Now that he's got the chemistry down with Ryan Tannehill, this team is just unstoppable, and their defense is non-existent. So, I really think the Titans are going to come away with this win, and I don't know if it'll be particularly close. I really don't. I don't. We'll just have to see.
Yeah, this is one we agreed on, but I do think that I'm going to disagree with when you say you don't need a defense to win.
You do, but you know what I'm saying? You can win games, and your defense lacks.
When your offense,
your offense produces that much.
Good. Yeah.
You can win. You can definitely win games without your defense having to produce as well.
I just think they're one of the only teams that can.
They definitely are. Yeah. They definitely are one.
They're
of the
probably the only team that can do that.
Probably because the Vikings aren't able to do it. Clearly, because they're 0-2.
Yeah, you literally said everything I was probably gonna say. I have the Titans winning by quite a bit. Yeah,
I said touchdown or 2. And then we've got the Packers and Niners. I'd actually got the Niners in this game. I think the Niners are the Packers' kryptonite, and the Packers' defense is struggling. Like I just said, you can win without a defense, but when your offense isn't producing enough, their offense producing against the Lions, sure, but the offense did not produce against the Saints, who have an above-average defense. So if the Packers can't produce on offense, their defense, I mean, like, sure they have a few injuries here and there, but like overall their defense looks awful.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna come out here and say it. And it's not like the Titans have some guys on defense here and there, but overall their defense is like on paper is not good.
Yeah.
The Packers defense on paper is stacked. They should be good. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, I've got the Niners winning this. I guess it's an upset. I don't think it really is. But okay, yeah, I've got the Niners winning. I think the Niners and the Buccaneers, Packers kryptonite.
Yeah. Well, though I do have the Packers winning, I would love for your prediction to be correct, because with the Bears probably going to lose, the Bears would still be in first place in the division if the Packers lose, tied with the Packers. But I do think Aaron Rodgers will have another game, another day, and Aaron Jones will probably have another day as well. Especially in the receiving game, which he looked
he did look really good.
in. But yeah, I guess we'll see if the Packers defense can hold up.
Yep, we'll see on Sunday how these games turn out. It'll be an interesting weekend for sure. So now let's move on. We've got our mini mock draft coming up. So our mini mock draft, the first 10 picks. We're gonna do. I believe it's the like Vegas odds. So it's gonna be. Let me write this down. Actually, I'm gonna write this down while y'all are on the air. So I believe it's Lions. Let's just do this order: Lions, Texans, Falcons, Jaguars. Would you mind looking it up for me?
Yeah, I got you.
So, first 4 picks: Lions, Texans, Falcons, Jaguars. I believe the Eagles are up there too. I should have done this before.
Yeah.
I should have done this before. I don't know why I'm doing it now.
Oh, this is not the teams, of course. I would just go with the top 4 and all.
All right, so we're going to do this, kind of play this by ear. But first, we're going to do the Lions. The Lions here, I think the Lions might be the worst team in the league record-wise, but I think they've got a lot to look forward to. So with the first pick, I have the Lions taking defensive end, defensive tackle. He can kind of shift him around. Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. I just blanked. From Oregon. Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon. Best player in college football. Part of the reason Oregon is number 3 currently in the college football rankings is because Kayvon Thibodeau and that entire defensive line and that entire defense is insane. I mean, they clutched the game against Ohio State. Ohio State. Like, no joke. Ohio State is no joke. Whether or not they, are like the team this year, they're no joke. And so, you got to hand it to Oregon. You got to hand it to Thibodeau. He's insane. I think he's going to be the best player available coming up in the spring. But we'll just have to see how the Lions think about him. So, next we got the Texans at number 2. At number 2 overall, the Texans decide Davis Mills is not the guy. Tyrod Taylor, needs to move on from Tyrod Taylor. He's good. I think he's so underrated, but he's a little old. So the Texans say, let's get ourselves a new quarterback. Spencer Rattler, quarterback out of Oklahoma. Now, I don't know if this pick will actually turn out to be the right pick. I think there are better quarterbacks in the draft. I'll kind of get to that eventually later in podcasts as we get closer to the draft. But I do think that, looking at the college football season and looking how it's gone so far, even though Spencer Rattler is inconsistent, his physical traits and the way he's like very Mahomes-like, and that's what teams are chasing, right? Like the next Mahomes. And so I think they're going to see Rattler as the next Mahomes, and they're going to draft him. I don't know if he'll be the next Mahomes, but I mean, they drafted Deshaun Watson in 2017, so it could turn out to be another great pick by the Texans. So now with the third pick, we've got the Falcons. The Falcons here, I think the Falcons might have a rough season, maybe 1 or 2 games, and I think it's time for Matt Ryan. So I think the Falcons went the quarterback too. And I think here they select their next Matt Ryan and Carson Strong out of Nevada. Carson Strong, if you haven't heard of Carson Strong, go look him up. I mean, dude's got the best deep ball in college football other than Sam Howell. And I would have Sam Howell here other than the fact that, his play is a little inconsistent. I think teams are going to be a little hesitant with that, so he might drop further in the first round or maybe even to the second round. But I do think the Falcons get their next Matt Ryan and Carson Strong and maybe he sits behind Matt Ryan for a year or two. Matt Ryan still got some years left on his contract, but Matt Ryan's starting to show his age a little bit, and so I think it's probably time for that change to happen. So we'll see how that goes. And with the number 4 pick, I'm actually going to make a change. It's going to be the Jets instead of the Jaguars. The Jaguars are going to have the 5th pick. So the Jets here are going to select Derek Stingley out of LSU, arguably the best corner in a long time. I mean, dude is crazy. We've known about him since his freshman year. Arguably could go number 1 overall if his season trends that way, but so far it's not looking that way, just because LSU's kind of struggling so far. Derek Stingley, though, dude can do anything. Dude's great in the man, great in zone. He's just a utility knife. He is just so good. He's the new number 7 at LSU. And I think he could really make an impact on this Jets defense that needs some help. Basically everywhere except the defensive line. Last season they went all offense in their draft, and this season I think they go all defense. So now with the number 5 pick, the Jaguars select Evan Neal, an offensive tackle out of Alabama. Evan Neal is just, I mean, he was a 5-star coming out of high school, I believe, and you can kind of shift him anywhere. He can be a tackle, he can be a guard, he can be a center, he can be anything. And so I think the Jaguars need that. They need that. They need help on the offensive line. They've got weapons, whether it be in the run game and the passing game. They've got Trevor Lawrence. They just need to protect him. It's as simple as that. They just got to protect him. And so I think here they go with Evan Neal. They get themselves an offensive tackle.
Couldn't find that. Do you just want to go top 5, or do you want to pick?
We'll keep going. I'll say the Giants are having a rough season, so I'll have them at 6. So the Giants here, I think they take Kenyon Green, a guard out of Texas A&M. Dude is a behemoth. You can actually shift him outside to tackle if they need some help there. But I think with Nick Gates' injury being possibly career-ending, they're going to need some help on the interior. So I think they take Kenyon Green here. You can, like I said, he's very versatile. He's a great piece on the offensive line, on the stout A&M offensive line. As I'm an A&M fan, so I know. But I really do think that he's worth this pick here, and I think the Giants, they have 2 picks. They have the Bears pick as well. I think here they go with Kenyon Green. So with the number 7 pick, I'm going to put Philadelphia here. Philadelphia Eagles with the number 7 pick. The Eagles here, they need some help in the secondary, really, really bad. I think they take Kyle Hamilton, safety out of Notre Dame. They really need some help in the secondary, especially in the safety department. They signed Anthony Harris this past season, but I don't know if that's quite enough. You could argue they could take corner here too, but I think I've got them taking Kyle Hamilton. With the number 8 pick, I'm sorry, Ryan, I'm going to go with the Giants again, but from the Bears. We'll see, but it's very possible that the Bears end up struggling a little bit this season. Their schedule is not easy at all, and the Vegas odds actually, I believe there are around 8 or 9. So the Giants get themselves another pick here, and I think the Giants decide to go O-line again. So they go with, it's kind of a reach, but Tyler Lindenbaum from Iowa. I believe he's just a center in his true position, but you can kind of shift him anywhere. Again, he could probably be a guard. I don't know about a tackle, but he could probably be a guard as well. So we go with Lindenbaum here. And then at number 9, I think the Bengals actually have a better season than most expect. And so at number 9, we've got the Cincinnati Bengals. Maybe you would have the Bengals at 8, and so they would probably take Lindenbaum as well. But we're going to have him at number 9, the Bengals at number 9. And so at number 9, the Bengals are going to reach a little bit, but for a good offensive tackle, and Charles Cross from, I believe it's Mississippi State. He is just a great prospect on the offensive line, and that's where the Bengals need the most help to help Joe Burrow on the offensive line. And so I'm going to end it there because it's hard to kind of decipher after number 9. And so that's, the best prospects available going to where they might go. And so, that's our top 10 mock draft. So those are kind of like the best players in college football currently. This could change. We'll just have to see. We'll keep doing these every once in a while. We'll keep doing the top 10 picks. Maybe eventually, once the season goes on, we'll have more of a concrete answer at who's going to have the picks and where, but we'll just have to see. So now we're going to go on to college football. So our top 5 for college football this week. This game is actually about to come on, so we're going to go with Notre Dame versus Wisconsin. Ryan, you want to go first for your prediction?
I'm just going to pick Notre Dame. Straight up. It's not really... I don't know enough about either team to say that much. I know you're more of a college football guy, so I'll let you.
I am. So, I've got Notre Dame here. Wisconsin's the favorite for whatever reason. Their ranking is a little worse, but I do think that Notre Dame has the better team defensively, and Wisconsin also has the good team defensively. But I think that Notre Dame has the edge defensively, and so it's going to be a defensive battle. But I think overall Notre Dame's going to be able to pull it out. Maybe in a shootout. We'll see. We'll just have to see. We'll be watching it kind of here as we talk to you guys. But next, let's do UCLA versus Stanford. I've actually got the upset in this game. I got Stanford. They beat USC. They looked great doing it. So I think they can beat UCLA. I think Stanford can make their way into the top 25 this week after their win against UCLA if it happens. Ryan, what do you think?
I picked UCLA. I don't know. Their run game obviously has been insane. And their passing game hasn't looked too bad either. So I think as long as UCLA does good offensively, I think that'll just take care of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Now we got Nebraska versus Michigan State. Now this game is like kind of weird. I don't know why it's really in here, but I'm gonna put it in here because Nebraska almost beat OU. They hadn't gone for it. I don't really know why they went for it on 4th down. And they had that one-handed interception. That was insane, by the way. That might be the best play I've ever seen. But Michigan State needs to prove themselves as a top 25 team. So they've got to beat Nebraska, who's no joke. So I think this is really going to be an important game for Michigan State, and we'll see if they're really legit. Now I've got OU and West Virginia. OU's kind of been under some fire lately. They haven't really been winning games by a wide margin. And so people are kind of getting speculative that maybe they're not a top 4 team. Maybe they're not a playoff team. Maybe Rattler's not the real deal. And so we'll just have to see, how that works out. But West Virginia could totally they're no joke either. And West Virginia could totally pull the upset in this game. And I would not be surprised. A&M and Arkansas being our last game. Texas A&M. But Texas A&M has the best defensive line in college football. Let's just be real with it. Oregon's great, but A&M has the best defensive line in college football. DeMarvin Leal, top 10 pick. Kind of forgot to put him in the mock draft, but you can't really tread on A&M's defense, especially this is going to be a test for Arkansas. If Arkansas can pull this one out, they are like a top 10 team. But A&M, A&M is no joke. Other than their quarterback and skills position situation, they're just elite. So it's going to be tough for Arkansas, but we'll have to be sure to tune into that one to see how that works out. So Ryan, now for your little spiel. If the season ended today, who would be the Heisman and why?
It's kind of got to be obvious at this point in the season. Kind of got to go with Bryce Young. 10 touchdowns, no picks. Tied for 9th, or not tied for 9th. He's 9th in QBR. And obviously on the best team. So he's leading that team as a sophomore. No more, no less. I just think he'll continue to have... If it ended right now, he'd be it, obviously. And I think going on, he'll still... They don't really face anyone that could... I guess Texas A&M, but I think he'll go on to have the best season.
Now let me ask you another question. If the season ended today, who would be the MVP of the NFL?
Right now, I think it's between, I'd say 2 or 3. I'm in between Kyler Murray and Tom Brady. But
let me give you a dark horse candidate right now. Derek Carr has the most passing yards in the NFL over 2 games by a wide margin. He has more than Sam Darnold, who's played 3 games. Yeah. What? Like what?
I think the Raiders are pretenders. I don't think they're...
I do too, but you can't excuse Derek Carr.
If it ended now, sure, he'd be in my top 3.
Yeah.
But I'm still going to go. I think Tom Brady's looking insane.
I do too.
Only 2 interceptions on the season. neither of which were his fault. You could put some blame on the Hail Mary, but that pass to Leonard Fournette that was tipped up was not his fault. And through 2 games, he has 9 touchdowns. That's insane. So actually, yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Tom Brady. Take the safe pick there.
All right. So that's all we got for you guys this week. This was a shorter episode. We tried to kind of cut it down a little bit. We've been having a lot of long episodes, so you guys tell us, do you like the shorter episodes? Do you like the longer episodes? I know the shorter episodes are probably easier to watch because it doesn't take up an hour of your time. But, yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.